Hey y'all, it's Moon Thomas, your social media insurance advisor. You are officially plugged into the Big Insurance Connect. On this episode of the Big Insurance Connect, I had a crucial conversation with Dwayne Morgan. He's the family service manager at South Care Cremation and Funeral Society. South Care actually happens to be one of my community alliance partners. We had a real conversation about the D word, which is something that most people don't want to talk about. You cannot afford to miss this episode. Let's check it out. Thank you so much. I appreciate the partnership. Honestly, I am an independent insurance agent myself.
Right.
I'm more of an advisor. I really am not into selling anything, but more of advisement of, what your options are.
Right.
And literally, as I've been growing my business, the community partnerships are important in terms of, you know, being able to offer more resources to our clientele. And the one thing that I felt was a blessing was for me to actually be able to partner with South Care in respect of servicing the Gwinnett area. So technically, the prearranging of your final expenses is something that a lot of people may not be familiar with. And I want to kind of get into that. So the first thing about prearranging is
Mhm.
that yesterday's price is not today's price. That's the first thing.
Yeah, that's a big
Okay.
one. Right.
And I can attest from being in the insurance industry and you alike
Mhm.
when the pandemic happened, I believe that it was an awakening for most people. Just because so many people, young to old, were all, in the same boat. And
Good
literally,
point. Hmm.
some people, I can't say everybody, but there's some people at a young age, they tend not to think about, funerals and, dying. And I hate to use the D word, so I'm just going to say the inevitable.
Yeah, I've
And
noticed you do that before. That's a nice
yeah,
touch. Yeah.
I just kind of feel like it just kind of puts a little something on it. But the bottom line of it is that, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone, no matter what your age is,
Hmm.
no matter what, your background, your ethnicity, we all are going
Right.
to have to deal with that at some point. And if we haven't, yet had to, even for a loved one or a family member, it literally, it could come any day. And that's because even people that are in great health can have an accident. Everybody has a 50-50 chance in that respect. So
Yeah,
let's
you're
get into
absolutely
this.
right.
Let's get into this, okay? Because I believe that people need to know
Let's do
what
it.
is South Care Cremation and Funeral Society. What are they?
Excellent question. So let me try to demystify and make it simple for everybody,
Please.
even for myself. So, South Care Cremation and Funeral Society is basically a business that will facilitate your needs for your prearrangements upon your. I use the word passing. You say the inevitable. I think those are
That's
relatively,
appropriate.
you
Yeah.
know, inoffensive. Uh, and so, whichever way you want to go, if you would like to be, whatever you want your prearrangements to be for how you're taken care of after you pass, whether you're
Right.
cremated or buried, they will service either one of those prearrangements and all the details that come with that. And they're not affiliated with any direct cemetery or any other entity. There's some businesses we can refer you to, but there's no direct affiliation they have. So they will handle this independently, whether you want to have a service, or maybe I've talked to some people that don't. Maybe they want to have a private family showing, maybe they don't.
Hmm.
Some just want to do the cremation and they're good, and
Gotcha.
that's it. And then, of course, another important factor, some people want to order death certificates. Again, I use the word, but that's the name of the document. Sorry.
Right.
But just those are important documents you need, as you very well know, and we like to
Yeah.
educate people on that. Some know already to close accounts, life insurance, banking, 401ks, things like that, investments, vehicle registration. So that's what
I
they
don't think
do.
people do know that. I can't really say that people know that you really need an actual death certificate for every account that you have. So just to
Right.
kind of make that clear, when you do pass away, in order to close your account, settle your estate, and what have
Right.
you, to actually, complete all of the final expenses that you may have, you
Close those
literally would
out.
have to have a certified death certificate for each account. That would be a mortgage. Sometimes, in the case of a utility bill, to be disconnected. In terms of
Maybe
a 401k bank account, you
that,
have
yeah,
three bank
anything
accounts. You need one
financial.
for
Yeah.
each one. Exactly. Social Security, the IRS, and so your life insurance, just to even collect on your life insurance policies
Well,
for your
definitely for that.
beneficiaries. And just we'll be clear.
Interesting.
We'll just be clear real quick because we're both in the insurance industry, and I mean I am an insurance agent by trade. Literally,
Same.
prearranging is literally a gift for your family. You're actually taking the the burden of having to plan your funeral or your celebration of life, um, when they're in a time of grief. Okay, you're literally picking out your your wishes. You're
Absolutely.
selecting your casket in some cases, or your type of service, or the location,
Whatever. Yeah.
everything down to the details, and you're actually paying for it in advance. We're actually giving you a really great price to pre-arrange, which there is a difference between pre-arranging and then an at need, which is called pre-need or at need. At need
hmm
is when you don't have this already planned out and you have
Good
to
point.
pay like the cost that it is that day at that point. And it
Right.
usually is higher.
Oh, yeah. Maybe even double,
Yeah. So
possibly.
there's an advantage to pre-planning. It helps to save in terms of the total overall cost. You've gotten to actually select your own type of service. You're doing it your way. And a lot of people like that freedom to be able to say that I did this, and no one else has their input. This is what you decided. And then the third thing is it just takes the burden off the family,
hmm
because I just can't imagine. I have not had to have to plan out someone's funeral thus far. I have been very close to people who have lost someone
hmm
important to them. I have lost important people in my life, but I never had to be the person to plan it. And until I really became aware of the pre-planning process, it literally, never occurred to me. So I'm just like everyone else to a certain degree. Before I, came across this, I had no idea. So that's why we're doing these informationals and educational
hmm
videos and webinars, and we're going to be doing it on a regular basis so that people can be aware of these things and, just literally, um, be a resource. So basically, what do you think the biggest difference is between South Care and maybe another funeral home that's in the area?
Well, from what I have seen is, and you've explained all that very well. And if I may backtrack for just a moment, I will tell you what got me into this side of the business is that I went through uh, a loss with my mother in 2020, and
Oh,
she was
wow.
cremated.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
And that was in the fall of 2020. 2020 has got to be one of the worst years in history, I think,
Yeah.
for people,
I
everything.
think most people, and can you believe that they said like the pandemic was like 4 years ago and it felt like it was just yesterday?
That is, yeah, that is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So,
even here, that still you had to, pandemic or not, you had to plan.
yeah, you had to deal with people were, had to stay home. You had to figure things out. You couldn't, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, but yeah, my mother, it was actually, it wasn't related to COVID. It was, she had cancer for a while, and
Oh,
she
wow.
really hung in there for a while. But yeah, so at the time I wasn't living out here in Georgia, I was in California. So my sister was executor, but she had everything laid out. We still had
Mhm.
to go through and deal with it. And I had a taste of that. And she was cremated. I knew she was going to be cremated since I was younger, and
Mhm.
I'm probably going to be cremated too. So before my mom, maybe when I was younger, I wouldn't want to do this type of business at all.
Mhm.
But something just changed for me. It clicked once that happened with her. And to put it bluntly, we're not. No one's going to leave out of here. Uh, let's just say you're going to face the what's your word?
Inevitable.
The inevitable. That's
Inevitable.
just what it is. We all
Yeah.
have that in common, regardless of where you're from, what have you,
Yeah.
background, what have you. So that's what got me interested in to help other people, because you're right. So many people have questions, and a lot of this just every day, whenever I have appointments, or you don't think, we stress
Yeah.
when I talk to people, you just don't think of this stuff.
Yeah. Or
It's not
here's
something
the other
that's
thing. If they have thought about it, they probably are not really well versed on what it really costs.
right. That's more to your point, and what I'm going to answer for you there, as far as how we compare, we consistently across the board, generally, I'll say that a majority of the time, vast majority of the time, we come in lower than a lot of the competitors.
Yeah.
We come in with the most affordable price and great quality and value. You've got an excellent staff. Everybody's very knowledgeable, empathetic, wonderful service with people. And so that's where we really stand apart. And
Yeah.
you're really hard pressed generally to beat our prices. I would just say that.
Mhm. And I welcome people to actually shop around. This is not
Absolutely.
something that, you have to take our word for it.
We encourage you to do it, please. Yeah.
I think the main difference with South Care, in my opinion, is the full disclosure. You can go on their
Yes. On the website.
website. Website is scrolling here at the bottom of the link. You can go right there to their website, and information is readily available with pricing. You can download the brochures for the different types of services, and you're going to see a price there, and that price is inclusive. Now, there are some things you can customize and you can add, but those are like basic
Right.
prices of packages and how they start. And if depending on what you want, you can feel free to customize, and that may add to the total, of course.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, people are surprised at what the prices actually are, and it's right there in black and white. Now, when I look at just the different types of services that you can have, I mean, we have cremations, we have uh, traditional burial, like funeral services as well, and then this is something that I really learned about recently was the green
Yes.
burial.
Yes. Me
And
too.
that's becoming a lot more popular in people who are more eco-friendly, world conscious as far as like the environment and things of that nature. I thought it was
Mhm.
very interesting. And then also too, like the different religious, cultural backgrounds that choose green burials because of their beliefs.
Mhm.
Like for instance, they do not believe in being buried like with um, the type of coffin or casket that actually is not biodegradable.
Right.
Or they want, if they are embalmed, some are not embalmed, but if the ones that are embalmed, there's actually green embalming fluid that doesn't have all the toxins that harms the
Hmm.
earth. I just thought it was just amazing, like a whole nother world I didn't know nothing about.
Right.
And it's just amazing the options you have. So I think that if I can just sum up what we just talked about, the difference in South Care
Hmm.
is one, of course, you can't beat the price. Two, they
Yeah.
have several options, budget friendly and customizable options for you to create the end of life service that you want for yourself. And you have several different options to choose from, ranging from cremation to funeral with traditional services, all the way to more religious um, ceremonies that have, more eco-friendly options in the green burials. So I just thought, based on that, I mean, what else can you ask?
Well, I'll add on to that. You touched on a good point that we're very versatile with people and
Yeah,
flexible.
yeah,
And like you say, it's all listed on the websites, the cremations and the burials.
mhm,
Very transparent with their pricing. That's where also we're, I believe, ahead of the competition on that.
exactly.
And don't feel like you have to be. I tell people this to really make them comfortable. Don't feel like you have to be locked into South Care to take care of a service or families. And what happens is I'll talk to people. Let's say they're doing a cremation. what I'm finding on some is that they're just going to let their family deal with this other stuff later. They can amend to the or add on to the package if they'd like to down the road, if they want to have a service with us, or maybe they're going to have it at their home, or they're going to have it, maybe
Right.
somewhere else, maybe on a cruise ship. Who knows? Whatever your preference is, you're not locked in with us on every step of the way. If you just want to get the cremation or the burial, and maybe get your death certificates, and maybe we offer a nice variety of urns and keepsakes if you're doing cremation, and also a nice variety of caskets, whether they're green caskets or whether they're more traditional of steel.
Right.
So it's totally, you can go a la carte with this
Mhm.
as much as you want or as little as you want. So you're not locked into, utilizing us for everything. If you want to, great. We're happy to help. If not, that's fine too.
If you enjoyed this episode, do me a big favor. Please like, share, and subscribe to the #1 insurance resource that has you covered from the womb to the tomb for all things health and wealth. Until the next time, I love you and I mean it.